it's rough, but they're pretty sure that GWS Richmond will be the Friday night footy game.
Well, okay. Well, let's go with the expert here. He's the correspondent for a reason, so I'm going to listen to him as well. So let's go with the GWS Giants and the Richmond Tigers. And then we're still set to take place at Giants Stadium correct?
Giant
Maybe
Stadium is
not.
in New South Wales, still red. My gut tells me somewhere either potentially GMHBA,
Mm,
Marvel. In fact, I've seen some memes that are going
oh
around
boy.
going if GWS really wants to have a lot of fun with Richmond,
Uh
they should want to play it at Marvel.
huh.
So when it comes to my tip, the loss of Toby Green, I'm hoping I'm not doing a Groundhog's Day here and going no Toby Green. I don't think they can pull off a win against
hmm
Richmond. I'm gonna tip Richmond on this, but I'm worried that it potentially could happen again. That Leon Cameron pulls a rabbit out of his hat. He finds a way to inspire his boys that with no Toby Green, that they find a way to win this. I'm gonna tip Richmond, but the majority that I'm seeing in some of the tipping places that I'm seeing actually have GWS as a favorite.
So that's what I like to see because I'm actually going to tip GWS here as well, just because Toby Green definitely aids the team, but we've seen, like kind of what you're alluding to, that we've seen the time and time again without him playing and being active member of the game. So I'm going to be optimistic. I normally don't do this. I'm going to be optimistic with my GWS Giants. I'm going to tip them in this game, and hey, also like you said, let's hope it gets in Marvel because that'd just be a lot more fun. And this is one hell. I mean, presumably this is gonna be one hell of a way to start off round 22 with a huge game with huge finals implications. But should we just jump to the Frio and West Coast now?
I mean, if you want, we can do that.
Well, let's just go in order with what the website's given us. I think we'll be good to go here. But we can do the Western Derby. Fremantle Dockers, West Coast Eagles. Technically, like the Fremantle Dockers are going to be the home team here at Optus. But kind of what I was talking about in our round breakdown, given what we saw from Freo this round against Brisbane and what we saw from West Coast this round against the Melbourne Demons, I don't feel confident. And honestly, I don't feel confident in tipping either team. I just feel less confident in tipping Freo this one. That's why I'm going to roll with the road team, the West Coast Eagles.
Oh, if Frio would have performed better, if Frio would have won against Brisbane, I'd be
Yes.
much more inclined to tip Frio. But
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I think West Coast not having to travel, Western Derby, yes, it's a Frio home game. I just think West Coast has just got a little too much. Unfortunately, like I said, still not completely sure whether Brayshaw is playing or not. If he isn't, that is a huge blow.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes Frio's even more difficult journey even more difficult. So I'm going to tip West Coast, but whenever I tip West Coast, it always seems to blow up in my face. So we'll really have to see how this goes.
Normally how it goes for me too. So I, I guess we're going to see here. But the next game,
Mm-hmm.
let's go to Brisbane and Collingwood. This is definitely an interesting one here because I could give Collingwood a lot of credit. I almost want to tip him in this one, given what we saw from recent form. I mean, I think this is going to be a really close game and a well played game by the Collingwood Magpies. I just think that Brisbane should have a little bit more of what it takes to get it done in this one. So that's why I'll rock with the Lions.
I'm going to tip Brisbane on this one, but I agree. This is going to be an interesting game because this is a game Brisbane cannot lose. If Brisbane want to stay in fifth place and want to at least continue to hold out hope they can potentially get into the top four, they cannot lose this game. So I will tip the Brisbane Lions in this one.
And the next one that we got listed on the website is going to be Geelong and St. Kilda. And this could be a bit of a dangerous one for the Cats because St. Kilda, obviously they're good enough to be Sydney. I think St. Kilda on their best, playing their best footy, they're also good enough to at least contend, if not knock off the Geelong Cats. But I think the Cats are going to be able to regroup enough. In this one, they should be able to St. Kilda and beat St. Kilda, but I think it's a really close game.
St. Kilda, unfortunately, is far too inconsistent for me.
Mm-hmm.
Great game, but unfortunately, normally when they play a great game, they back it up with an atrocious game.
Yeah.
And down at GMHBA Stadium, never an easy place to play. I'm going to have the Cats in this one, but this is my keep an eye out, because if St. Kilda plays with the same intensity that they played against the Swans, they're a chance.
And let's go with the Gold Coast Suns and the Essendon Bombers. Oh man, if the Bombers blow this one, I'm going to be so disappointed. But there's a chance. It really depends on kind of what kind of Suns team we get here. But the Dons should be able to get this one and get themselves that much closer to a finals berth.
This is absolutely critical. The Bombers cannot stuff this up. They have to win this game. I believe they've got a little too much. Gold Coast is playing much better footy. This is going to be a tighter game than I think some people are thinking. I'm going to tip the Bombers in this one, but the Gold Coast are pesky. Keep an eye out.
And let's go to uh, a bit of a really interesting game given what's been going on the last number of rounds. We have the Hawthorn Hawks and the Western Bulldogs. And if we want to tip underdogs, I would definitely recommend tipping the Hawthorn Hawks in this one against the Doggies. I think the Doggies should be able to pull off this one, but I actually really like the Hawks' chances in this game.
If I'm the Dogs, I'm loving that I get Hawthorn now before the Port Adelaide game, because you can figure out a few things, especially with the loss of Bruce. How do you approach this? How does Beveridge handle this? Because this is critical, because you are going to need this warm-up game to settle yourself for the game against Port, because it could be absolutely critical if you want to stay in the top four, to not to go in with a win against Port Adelaide.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot lose this game against the Hawthorn Hawks. They are playing much better footy. I think they're going to test this Doggies team, but I agree. I think the Doggies just have a little too much in this one, so I'm gonna have the Dogs.
And let's go to the Melbourne Demons and the Adelaide Crows. No Taylor Walker, no chance. I'm going with Melbourne all the way.
I'm not gonna say no chance, but it's definitely very fleeting. I give it slim to none, with a better chance of none, unfortunately, on this one. I think the D's get a good shot to put a nice percentage booster and maybe put themselves a little out of reach for the chasing pack when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to minor premiership.
And following up their loss to St. Kilda, Sydney has a really interesting and really important game this round because they're taking out the North Melbourne Roos. And oh man, I want to tip Sydney. I believe Sydney should win this game, but the Roos could play this team really hard, and you might have to call an upset alert on this one too.
This is the game that, honestly, if they would have beaten, like, I'm gonna take you into my mind here just
Okay,
really
okay,
quick.
let's go in.
If Sydney wouldn't have lost to St. Kilda, this was the game that scared me of the
Mm-hmm.
final two. This was the one that scared me because of the way North Melbourne was playing. I think that loss to St. Kilda may have reset the switch for for Sydney. I'd be a tiny bit worried if I'm North, because you may get an angry Sydney. You may get a Sydney that is going to try to just absolutely pump the scoreboard. I'm going to have Sydney winning this. I think this potentially could be a little like the Tigers game. I think North Melbourne stays in the game, stays close, maybe even leads it a little bit the way
Mm.
Sydney's been playing their first halves. But I think Sydney rolls it in the second half, gets a nice W, to get themselves back on the winning track, and still push themselves to maybe get fifth place, going into the finals.
And the last game that we're going to have this round is Port Adelaide and the Carlton Blues. And man, Port Adelaide, they're just too damn good against non-top 8 teams, and they're too damn good against most of the teams that they play. And Carlton has just been so damn inconsistent and just really disappointing. I have to tip the power in this one.
Power power on this one, and David Teague has to keep this close. If he continues to want to keep the light on his proverbial coaching career at Carlton, this cannot be a blowout. If this gets ugly, this really is potentially the final nail in potentially Teague's coffin as coach at Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
Port Adelaide, this is another, just like I said with the Doggies, another great game to get them ready for that marquee matchup in round 23.